Hey guys, it's Kami from the Mama Diaries. Thanks so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. If it's your first time here, go ahead, hit subscribe. Also, I'd love it if you would hit that bell. You'll be notified about more videos just like this one right here. And today it's a big one, guys. We are discussing You Season 4 in completion, in entirety. Part 2 has dropped, which means I can spill the tea. I have seen this series it's been about 6 weeks since I have seen the entire series, and I haven't been able to say anything yet, but now I can let it all out. It's out there. So if you have not seen You Season 4 in its entirety, then bookmark this video, come back, visit it when you're done. It's not going anywhere, but we are going to discuss some spoilers. We're going to check out everything that went on in Season 4 right now. Let's do it. Okay, so we have our main character, Joe. He's actually Jonathan in Season 4. Of course, he changes his name. Penn Bagley, gotta love him. Anyway, he's in London now. He's on a holiday after chopping off his toe and killing his wife and dropping his baby on his friend's doorsteps. And he's trying to just redeem himself, start a new life, start over in London. So he has this new elite group of friends. He's a professor, we know, at a university, and he has a new elite group of friends, and they are all extremely rich. And of course, people start dying, and he starts getting stalked. And so Joe's like, oh my gosh, it's like a whodunit, and like, who's framing Joe? And we go back and forth, and more people die, and Joe is like, what is going on? Who is this person? Oh my gosh. And he's like freaking out. And then part 2 comes along, and spoiler alert, it's Joe. Of course it's Joe. Why wouldn't it be Joe? Well, Joe is having like a complete mental breakdown. He imagined this whole thing, and he created, so there's this character Reese, and Reese exists, sure, but Joe kind of like took on Reese's personality, and I don't even know. It's like he's like Joe and he's like Reese, and he's split. So he thinks that Reese is the killer, but Reese is really him. And I know you're like nodding along with me because you get this, and it kind of went crazy banana pants. We weren't expecting that. But it is what it is. And so Joe has been killing all along. And not only that, but way back in part 1, when we saw his interaction with Marianne from the last season. And he found her, he encountered her, and he let her go. He said, I'm gonna let you go, Marianne. You don't want to be with me. I'm moving on. I'm letting you go. And we were like, oh, maybe Joe, maybe he can redeem himself somehow. However, that was not the case. Joe kidnapped Marianne and has all this time had her locked up in one of his cages in some place in London. And he can't remember. Once he comes to, he's so torn. He's like, Reese, but the Reese that has kidnapped her and put her away, even though it's Joe, but it's not, it's like his, I don't even know how to the words to use this, it's him, but it's like split personality between these two men. But I mean, all in all, Joe is Joe. Joe's a killer. Joe is crazy. So his life was flipped upside down, but he flipped his life upside down, and it just seems like he cannot escape who he is. And so this season was crazy. Of course, Nadia, one of his students, figures out she's the whodunit queen. She figures out the whole plot, the whole storyline, and she confronts Joe. She frees Marianne. Marianne is still alive. He does not kill her. He thinks she's dead, but no, she's still alive because Nadia and Marianne outsmarted him. So she's out there with her daughter. Joe is now with Kate, and Kate knows what he's done and just accepts him. And at the end, and they have Henry back, and they are living, I think they're in New York now, living their best life, their fake life. I don't know. As far as, and Joe frames Nadia for the Eat the Rich killers, and she's now in jail as a killer, even though it's not her. And and Marianne is still alive, but Joe doesn't know she's alive. I feel like I'm rambling and I'm talking a lot, but I hope you're understanding where I'm getting all this from. But do we see Joe going after Marianne if he knew she was alive? I'm not sure, because I know that Joe kind of resonated with Marianne. They had that parent connection, and he knows she has a daughter. So maybe, just maybe, he could just let her be. I don't see Marianne trying to come after Joe again. I think she just would like to remain with her daughter, be safe, let Joe think she's dead. That's probably the safest thing for her. If she, I mean, I'm sure she'd love to see Joe behind bars and pay for everything that he's done, but then that might put her daughter and herself at risk. So she has to kind of weigh the odds. That's just me thinking out loud. But now Joe is with Kate in at the end of season 4, and they look like they are living the life happily ever after. But we know with Joe, is it always happily? It's not always happily ever after. Something always happens. He just can't help himself. So with that, will there be a You season 5? Nothing has been announced yet, but I can see the series going either way. It could end the way it ended, or we could have a season 5. There's definitely more to explore with this series. I will say this is probably my least favorite season of this series. At first I kind of liked the whodunit idea and the idea that someone was stalking Joe, but when it ended up being him, and I don't know, I almost wish he was being stalked by someone, actually, like a real person, but I guess that wouldn't necessarily, I mean, he's crazy, and then that maybe humanize him more, which we probably shouldn't be doing. Penn Badgley, I love the guy. If you look, the other seasons of You had a lot of sex, very graphic sex, lots of sex, very heavy on the sex. He went into season 4 and he didn't want any of that anymore. That was one of his stipulations I read about, and because he didn't want to be known for that. Like he didn't want that to be him. So he put the brakes on all the sex scenes, and they went with that. So there's very little sex in You season 4, nothing compared to the previous season. So I think that's worth mentioning, and I love that Netflix respected his decision, because no other person could play Joe. Absolutely not. Penn Badgley owns his character. So with that said, I would love to know what your thoughts are on You season 4. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Where does it stack up in relation to the other seasons? And do you think there'll be a season 5? Would you like a season 5? Are you happy with how things ended with season 4? I'd love to hear it, guys. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.